Did you know there are 537 million adults all over the world living with diabetes as of today, which means one in every adult has diabetes. Today, on World Diabetes Day, we welcome you to this Facebook Live on managing diabetes supported by OneTouch. We will be discussing the importance of monitoring your blood sugar levels so that you can manage your diabetes better and prevent complications. And to do so, we have with us here today, and we're very thankful for that, we have two doctors. We have Dr. Jyotidev Kesadev. He is a chairman of Jyotidev's Diabetes Research Centers in Kerala. And we have Dr. Kavita, and she is the director and nutritionist at the Sunil's Diabetes Care and Research Center in Nagpur. So if you have any queries related to this, please post it in the comment section now. So Dr. Jyotidev, let's begin the show by discussing that why is it really so important to check your blood sugar levels? Like, what are the real benefits of this?
Blood sugar, I would say, it is a part of life. It is a component of life. And that is exactly the reason why, Parul, blood sugar is now regarded as a vital sign. So earlier, for more than 100 years, we have been measuring the vital signs. And the conventional vital signs, which are measured at temperature, blood pressure, respiratory rate. But now we know that apart from the usual vital signs such as pulse rate or respiratory rate or blood pressure, we should be considering blood glucose even in the absence of a diagnosed diabetes.
Oh,
and,
okay.
and that is the most powerful message, because even subtle changes in the glucose, it can be high or it can be low, even in the absence of diabetes, can increase the chances of severity in a disease, can increase the number of hospitalizations for any disease, can increase the chances of even death in the hospital or even other replacement therapies in the hospital. So I will say that every person, of course, we are buying television at home, we are buying a lot of other materials at home. Along with that, every person in India should be buying a glucose meter at home.
Oh. Well, that's very important information. So we had a question, and one of our users had posted. He says that I am 50 years old. I am diabetic since 10 years. What should be my target blood sugar values?
That is an excellent question. Every person will have their own target value. And for targeting a value, they should be measuring the glucose in their own glucometer. And that process is called home blood glucose monitoring or self-monitoring of blood glucose.
Okay.
And a lot of patients will procure a glucometer, but they should know how to measure and they should know how frequently they should be measuring. And that systematic way of measuring is defined as structured self-monitoring of blood glucose. So for a person aged 50 years with diabetes, in general, we would say that he should be measuring soon after waking up in the morning and then 2 hours after breakfast, lunch and dinner, but not daily. It can be as per a schedule suggested by the doctor. And he should be targeting a fasting, for example, say below 100 or below 110. If he is concerned, if the doctor is concerned about low sugar, then the target can be below 110 fasting. And after sugar, the value preferably should be below 140, but maximum he can go is up to 180 milligram. But that value should be suggested by the diabetes doctor, the diabetes dietitian. But I would prefer that for a 50-year-old with no complications, to prevent the complications, use glucose meter as frequently as possible so that the post-meal target can be kept, if possible, below 140 milligrams, which is the best for him.
So I'm just thinking that, so these values, do they vary from one person to another based on certain factors?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The values differ from person to person, and this is based on age of the person. This is based on type of the diabetes, the duration of diabetes. But most important is, if somebody is having multiple complications, we will be probably scared to bring the glucose down to normal, because when we are bringing glucose down to normal, then they can develop a hypo. So let me tell you, Parul, the problem in India is, if you look at the average number of patients with diabetes, as you said, it is very, very high. But if you look at the number of patients developing complications, it is as high as 50 to 95%, which is alarming. And this happens only because they are not testing the glucose themselves at home. They should be self-monitoring the glucose at their own houses. They should know where they should be targeting, which differs from person to person. But on an average, I would say that they should never have a value above 180 milligrams per deciliter. But unfortunately in India, the average glucose is more than 200 or 220 milligrams per deciliter in the majority of patients. And that explains why majority are succumbing to the complications of diabetes. And the good news today, when we are celebrating World Diabetes Day, is all these complications are preventable. So that is a positive good news.
Yeah, so it's as simple as people just need to take note of the fact that they need to just be on top of their blood sugar values. Okay, Dr. Kavita, coming to you, I just want to check with you that apart from medication, which could be either oral medication or insulin, what role does diet play? Can we kind of play around with the diet so that we can, manage the blood sugar levels better at home?
Yes. So, hi. So, hi, Parul. So, that's a very important question. In fact, let me tell you, the 4 main pillars for the management of diabetes is like first, of course, the first is MNT, that is medical nutrition therapy. And second is exercise. Third is your medications, oral drugs or insulin. And third is SMBG. And the main tabletop is education for what we all are over here. And MNT, that is medical nutrition therapy, is very important. It's the cornerstone in the management of diabetes. And I would like to say that there is no size which fits all. So it's highly individualized. So when we talk about diet, the main principle is like we need to maintain the ideal body weight, we need to maintain the blood glucose, and at the same time, we need to the patient should be, or the diabetic should be happy and should be happy to eat what we are prescribing. So that's very important. And another thing is like, India is a carboholic country. Most of us are having a lot of carbohydrates, and every month, I think we are loaded with festivals and we have a lot of sweets as well. So it's a high carbohydrates, more of simple carbohydrates and a lot of fat, and a lot of more of processed foods and bakery products is what we are having. So
I think people have this whole misconception with diabetes that if you're not having sugar, you're not having meat, then you're fine. I think, but this is a very important point, that it's a carbohydrates that we need to really check.
Yes, that is what we need to. We need to completely stop the simple carbohydrates, whether it is like sugar and any type of sugar, whether it is brown sugar or anything, and no jaggery, no honey. So usually people have concepts ki, okay, if we stop simple sugar, we can start off with jaggery and honey. So no simple carbohydrates. They need to switch over to complex carbohydrates and add more fiber in their diet, maybe in the form of salads, green leafy vegetables, and sprouts. This is something what is missing on their plate.
Right. So if I may ask you, like supposing I test my blood sugar levels and they're above normal, as in they're high. So what can I do with my diet to bring those levels down? Like how can I really adjust my diet, like on any one given day?
Yes. So that's again is very simple. You don't have to do much. What I actually said, we need to change the pattern of eating. What we are actually doing, we always usually start with a roti or a rice. So there are studies which are coming up, which has shown that if you change the order of eating, so we should start with fiber first, and then followed by protein, and then your carbs. So you can start with a nice bowl of your salads or soups, or a mixed vegetable raita, or a nice bowl of yogurt, which is low-fat yogurt, or even a katori of dal. So first you start with that, you fill your stomach half with that, and then you start on your rotis. So the whole concept is like eating less of carbs, so that will help you to reduce your blood glucose. And another important thing is like add a protein in every meal, so that the protein in your meal will blunt the the blood glucose levels in your the second meal effect. Like it will try to blunt your blood glucose levels. So that again is what we need to add. Maybe it is like, and we are loaded with chola, rajma, moong, mo, chana, barbati. So this is again what, when we take a nutritional history, we see people are not having sprouts at all. So we should make sure that we need to add sprouts every day, maybe in your breakfast, or in fact, breakfast should be, rich in proteins, maybe an egg white, or even your sprouts, or, this would be healthy rather than, switching over to upma and poha. Or even a fistful of nuts would be a very good option.
So Dr. Jyoti, if you could tell us that how should one correctly use a glucometer at home? Are there some precautions to be taken? What is the correct way to use it?
Because you should be using a glucometer to find out where exactly you are at that point of time. And this is just a continuation of what Dr. Kavita Gupta has said. And very important that she has actually explained the order of how to have a breakfast or a lunch, to have soup and fiber first, and then add protein and then carbs. So it's very important that you have to go by an order. And if you are using a glucometer properly at the right time, it will tell you what happens on a day when you are eating the so-called bad food. What happens on a day you are exercising? What happens on a day when you are not exercising? So when I am using a glucometer, there are certain steps to be followed. First of all, you have to wash your hands properly. If you're not washing your hands properly, many a time there will be something which is adherent to the fingertip, and that can add on to sometimes the patients will report, I am getting 250 milligrams per deciliter in my glucometer. Is my glucometer wrong? And all the other values were absolutely normal. And the first instruction that we will be giving is wash your hands properly and do it. And then you should not be squeezing the fingertip. You should be massaging like this. And then after massaging, if the blood flow is not adequate enough, you can do like this, so that there is blood flow, adequate blood flow towards the fingertips, and then you measure it. And then you should be using a lancet. The newer glucose meters, they have lancets, I mean the needles, which are pain-free. So even small children, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, type 1 diabetes, it is very common in India. There are up to 150,000 children with type 1 diabetes in our country, and they should be monitoring using a glucometer, maybe 5 or 6 or even 8 times daily for pricking and finding out the glucose value. And fortunately, now it is almost virtually pain-free, and you don't even require 1 drop of blood. So, when you are, and it is important that you should be keeping the glucometer and the strips in an adequately ventilated room, and then don't store it inside your vehicle, because you will park in a vehicle. When the vehicle is parked outside, then the inside temperature can go by 3 or 4-fold. Of course, the newer glucometers and the strips, I don't mention the name of any strips, some of them are actually very tolerant to high temperatures and humidity. So we have reached a situation where the glucometers are now very much advanced, very, very advanced glucose meters are there. But when you're selecting a glucose meters, I always tell my patients, don't go only by the cost of a glucometer or a strip. Go by the accuracy, the reliability, and go for some branded glucose meters. Because otherwise, there will be lot to lot variability. Because one day you will get a correct value, the other day you will get a wrong low value, the third day you will get a high value, which is again wrong.
It's not so reliable.
So it is a variability which is lot to lot, or it is strip to strip variability. And another challenge is some of the glucose meters will have some drug interference. So if you are having a fever, if you're having a flu, or if you're having a COVID, and you are on medications such as vitamin C, then it will interfere with the value. So the newer, some of these best glucose meters, the drugs will not interfere with the value. Otherwise, you will unnecessarily increase the dose of your medication. Your glucose will be normal, but since you are getting a high value, you will unnecessarily increase the dose, and then you will get treated for a low value, that is low glucose value. So selecting the glucometer, number 1, storing the glucometer appropriately. Third, following all the steps on how to use the glucose meter properly. You can look at the videos in the YouTube, and keep on training, because this is the era of empowering the patient. So we, the doctors, are actually transferring the power from us to the doctors, from to the patients, for them to get empowered for the treatment of diabetes, because it's a journey. It is a lifelong journey together. So they need to get empowered, need to get trained. And so it is a shared decision making for everything. And they should be using the glucose meter appropriately, and they should know what to do with the values. And that is very important. And now the newer glucose meters are also connecting via Bluetooth to mHealth applications. So if they need to transfer their glucose values to me or to my diabetes educator or to my office, they can send it via WhatsApp or email. And this is the era of digital glucose diary.
It just helps you log your values better. Then you can.
Yeah, and everything is automated. There is, and the good thing about this is no extra cost involved. This is all absolutely free. All these value added process in the glucometer, the mHealth applications in India are currently absolutely free of cost to the common man. Absolutely free of cost. And if technology can be properly utilized by the patients, I am 100% sure that the outcomes will be much, much better.
Okay. So we have a query. We have a user who just posted it and says that is taking insulin better than taking medicines for a 65-year-old and who's having diabetes since almost 25 years. And he asked, how can I manage my, when I'm traveling, how can I manage my insulin as well as, monitoring my blood sugar levels? So while traveling, so some tips on diabetics who travel.
Yeah, that is a very good question. For a 65-year-old with more than 2 decades of diabetes, I would suggest that insulin should be there in the management protocol. It is indispensable, because it is, because look at the pictures at the back, and I have Frederick Banting over there. The first person is Frederick Banting at the back, and he's the guy who discovered insulin 100 years ago. Wow. So we are now celebrating 100 years of insulin discovery. And World Diabetes Day is commemorated in memory of the birthday of Frederick Banting. So today is the birthday of Frederick Banting. So insulin is the best. But there is something which needs to be answered in this question, which is very specific. Along with insulin, in type 2 diabetes, you need to have oral therapies. For type 2 diabetes, which is the commonest type of diabetes all over the world, more than 95% of diabetes is type 2 diabetes, where some oral medications need to be given along with insulin. Don't take insulin alone, because in type 1 diabetes, you can give only insulin. So when you're traveling, there are a lot of devices now available. I don't call it devices. There are pouches available, or you can have some coolants where insulin can be transported. And most of these insulins, when you're traveling, in the usual temperature, they will survive for a couple of days. Nothing will happen. In the room temperature, if one is open, most of the insulins can be kept at room temperature for almost a month. But if the room temperature is more than 27 or 28 degrees Celsius, be very cautious. And this is another very important indication. If somebody is on insulin and one fine morning, they are finding that when you're checking with the glucose meter, the glucose is very high, and there is no other specific reason for the diabetes to be uncontrolled, then the first suspicion should be loss of potency of insulin. Because if insulin is exposed to high temperature, then it loses potency. And the only remedy is change the insulin and go for a newer insulin.
Okay. So Dr. Kavita, we have a question for you. So a user wants to know that he says that I tend to get episodes of low blood sugars. When I check my sugars, the values go as low as 40 to 50. So how can I prevent hypoglycemia?
Oh, yes. So I would also like to, yes, this question I'll answer, and quickly, because hypoglycemia is again very important, and it can be risky. It can be life-threatening as well. So everyone should, that is why there come the role of SMBG. So here I would just like to emphasize on the rule of 15. I think every diabetic should know the rule of 15. So if they have any symptoms of low blood glucose, if they're feeling low, and first they should check their blood sugars. If it is less than 70 mg per dl, or even maybe even if it is 50 or 55 or so, they should first take 15 grams of carbohydrates, that is 3 teaspoons of sugar or glucose powder in a glass of water, and consume it. And then after 15 minutes, again check your blood sugars. So if it's again low, then they need to repeat this process and again take 15 grams of carbohydrates. If it is raised, then it should be followed by eating some complex carbohydrates, maybe a roti sabzi or something, so that the blood sugars are normal. So they need to keep a check on hypoglycemia. And that is why one thing I would like to also mention, that every diabetic should maintain a blood glucose chart. That's very important, so that at least they come to know whether their blood sugars are going high or it's going low, and they need to understand those numbers. Don't keep the values. If it is 300, just don't sit back and relax. Please call the doctor. Please call your physician that, yes, my numbers are 300. What I need to do next? So this is very important. And Parul, I'd just like to answer one more. The first question what you asked me.
Okay.
So we can also add on splitting of meals. Most of us, they try to have a large heavy meal, especially for the people who are going for office. So they have a large meal. So maybe they have 3 or 4 parathas and vegetable. So rather, if you are diabetic or if you are obese, I would suggest split your meal so that you have better blood glucose value. So you can have 2 rotis now, and after 2-3 hours you can have another 2 rotis and vegetable or a dal. Splitting of meals also helps to reduce your blood glucose values.
So one very common question we get asked is that how safe are artificial sweeteners for diabetics?
So yes, artificial sweeteners, FDA has approved artificial sweeteners like saccharin, aspartame, mesasulfame, K-sucralose, and neodymium and edmantum, and they are safe if they are taken in acceptable daily intake. All the artificial sweeteners have acceptable daily intake. So if they are taken in that amount, it's quite safe. And in fact, stevia is like they are GRAS products that is generally recognized and safe, and they can be taken in moderation. But the important issue is not about the artificial sweetener, but the food, what is made, the product, maybe the laddus or any sweet which is made, even the ice creams which are made with artificial sweeteners. So the calories of the product is less, but the amount of the fat, the content is more. So again, if you're going to have it in large quantity, so you're going to put on weight, and maybe after some time, your blood sugars may rise, with the high fat content of that meal.
Okay.
So again, that has to be taken care.
Yeah, so we have to have this whole holistic.
Yes, that's a word of caution, has to go with the artificial sweeteners.
Right.
And everything has to be in moderation. Even if it is artificial sweetener, ice cream or a sweet, it has to be in moderation.
Correct. Dr. Jyoti, that we'd like to ask you that, so now once we start using the glucometer, you're logging your readings. So are there certain patterns in glucose monitoring that one needs to look out for? Like, and maybe then alter the plan of treatment? Like, what does one do with all these values once they have, logged all the readings?
I think, Parul, this is a direct continuation to the previous question on hyperglycemia, but Dr. Kavita has explained with clarity. But with a glucometer, and when you are using a glucometer along with a mHealth application such as Reveal application, which we usually have a lot of experience over several years, so it gives automated patterns. So when you look at the mHealth application, and there is a web application for the patient, there is a web application for the doctor, it will provide you with the patterns over several days. And for this, the patients need to be monitoring the glucose, and those monitored glucose values should be transmitted via the Bluetooth to the mobile phone application. And this is automated. They have to just keep the glucometer alongside with the mobile phone. That is all. And when you are measuring 3 or 4 times daily, for example, or minimum 3 times daily, some of these days they should be measuring 6 times daily, depending upon the need. And these are all individualized. So it is person-centered approach on deciding the frequency monitoring. It will generate patterns. For example, in the earlier case, there was an instance of recurrent episodes of hypo. So when you look at the patterns in the glucose reading, the automated patterns, you will find some areas where the glucose is trending low. So this can be early in the morning, or this can be 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the evening. And when there are recurrent episodes, you get areas where you need to be more alert. So the pattern recognition, which is already available in the software, it is also automated. So even uneducated patients can easily recognize which are the areas which are likely to be high, which are the days or the time of the day when it is likely to come down.
Yeah.
And with this, you can resolve. So if the blood glucose is going down, for example, hypoglycemia, it could be because of higher dose of a medication. It could be because of delayed meals. It could be because of strenuous exercise on that particular day. So they have to identify, with the help of the diabetes educator or the doctor, the reason for the hypo. Why I am telling this is, hypo should not recur. If there is low glucose, you have to identify the reason, and you have to make sure that this is not getting repeated, because it is bad.
You need to work in coordination with your doctor, because he's the one then who can ultimately, plan the treatment accordingly, figuring
Absolutely.
out where the highs and lows are happening. Okay, so we have a query, and we have Amar Bindra asking, how can I change my lifestyle and diet in a way that will be healthy? Like a very quick sort of a cap on that, because one is of course diet, then what forms of exercise, because I think even stress plays an important role in diabetes. So how can one work on that?
So I think I'll just go for one liner for
Okay.
him. I think it's eat less, walk more, sleep well, and smile. That's, I think, very important. I think because the life today is full of stress. That's very important, where they reduce their stress and they eat mindfully. I think that's very important. At whatever time of the day they are eating, they have and do not follow fad diets which you find in the Google. Have scheduled timings, your wake up time, your eating time, your exercise time is very important. As it has been said, like, at least 150 minutes for in a week you should exercise. Moderate to rigorous exercises should be done. So you need to be physically active. I think sir can add on that.
Yeah, sure. It's the same as Dr. Kavita has said. The exercise part, I would say that it should be customized, because the exercise should be advised based on the age of the person, based on the stage of diabetes and overall health status. We should not be exercising too much, because we keep on telling that exercise, but we know that we have some recent experiences as well, because we should do only the type of exercise to that extent which is tolerable for us. And we should be discussing this with our doctor and finding out what sort of an exercise is suitable and for what duration, instead of having strenuous exercises. Just limit based on your age. Number one. Number two, you could have exercise in the morning for half an hour. But if you are sitting throughout the day, then that is bad, because that benefit of exercise won't be there if you are sitting throughout the day. So at least for 3 or 4 minutes every 1 hour, you should be going around. And I would say that all these procedures that I have indicated with respect to exercise, all these advices, if you are monitoring glucose in a structured fashion, and if you're looking at the patterns and recognizing the patterns from a mobile health application, then you will get all the clues from there, because it will let you know what sort of an exercise is good for you, for which duration is best for you. And if you are using a smartwatch along with this for heart rate monitoring, then you can have the heart rate monitored along with your glucose values. You can even go for a home blood pressure monitoring, because this is the era of digitalization in health. And if you look at the digitalization of health, more than 60 to 70% of all these happenings, the benefits are there existing in only diabetes. And this is the era of diabetes digitalization, where all these parameters can be remotely monitored. All the parameters we have discussed. And one fine example is the mHealth application for a glucometer, which can be easily monitored remotely from the healthcare team.
We can easily use technology even in the area of health now. That's so important.
And it is cheap. It is cost effective. It is very cheap.
Yeah. So we have time for just one last question, Dr. Jyotide. We're going to ask it, how should the patients manage the conditions, whether it's monitoring their blood glucose or doing other tests during during these times of COVID? So any words in that?
Can you say it again?
Yeah. So basically, how should patients with diabetes, they manage the condition during the age of COVID? I mean, do they need to take any special extra precautions?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is a highly relevant question because our recognition of diabetes as a major disease was existing for many years, but COVID has taught us a very, very tough lesson. Because it is when diabetes is uncontrolled, when the hemoglobin A1C is 7.3 or more at the time of admission, then the COVID can be more severe. Yeah. Very basic. So all the patients with diabetes, whether or not they had COVID, whether or not they have vaccinated, they should make sure that diabetes is under control. And that is possible only when they are using a glucose meter, when they are following a structured pattern for glucose testing. And even if there is a COVID, even if they are having a COVID infection, even though they are on corticosteroids for a short while, glucose need to be tested for another 2 or 3 months, because the use of corticosteroids and COVID directly and indirectly have increased not only the numbers, but also have increased the numbers of patients with uncontrolled diabetes. So the only take-home message is test, test, and test. Yeah. But when you're testing, make sure you are using those values. All those numbers need to be translated to therapies. Then only you will get benefit. And I promise you that you will get 100% benefit, both short-term and long-term.
Yes.
Yes,
I would just like to add on even a simple message to our viewers. You can follow the ABCD of diabetes. So A, keep your HbA1c below 7. B, keep your blood pressure less than 130/80. C, keep your LDL cholesterol less than 100. And D, follow a good balanced diet. And I've also added E now, exercise regularly.
Yeah,
I think that is very important for keeping a proper lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle, especially in times of COVID.
That's great. And on that note, we've come to the end of the show. And I want to thank both of you for joining us today. And I think you've clarified all our doubts and answered all our queries. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes.